Marcel here.
Hi, Marcel.
Hey.
Hi, holy shit, you picked up. Okay. Yeah, I know this is, unexpected, but I had still had your number. It's until, you probably don't remember me. I raced at Shannonville years ago. Around the same time you were like Amsoil Kawasaki.
Yeah, back
And,
when I was camping at Shannonville for a month waiting for the
yeah.
race to come up in whatever, 2008 or 9?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure you met all kinds of friends out there and stuff, but anyways, my wife and I, we used to come out there when we were younger, obviously, and no kids, and we always read it for you, and, life happened with children, so I haven't really been on the race scene, but I just seen all of your stuff on YouTube, and I saw your number. I'm like, I gotta say thank you. That's all. That's all the call is, man. Just a thank you. That's all it is.
Well, yeah, dude, I appreciate that. I'm actually recording this conversation because I get so many phone calls, and there's always that 1% that's a hater, right? And then the other 99% are people with information, so I record them in case I need that information to be like rebutted back to myself, right?
Of course. Yeah, no, it makes sense, especially with all of the misinformation and everything else. Like,
Yeah, because I've become
it's like
exactly.
Twilight Zone, man.
Oh yeah, I'm the Twilight Zone news reporter now. So yeah, I'm just like last night, a guy gives me a call to tell me the government just approached him to buy his tow truck, right, in Alberta.
Oh yeah.
So then I'm like,
I saw the posts about that. That's crazy.
and I was in the hot tub. I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to report from the hot tub. I thought it was pretty funny.
That's fantastic. Well, you know what? Keep up the great work. Fucking keep kicking ass racing, man. You always did.
Well, that's been a
thank you
while
from
now.
another-
Yeah, I haven't
from
ridden.
another Canadian that I feel like we don't have a voice except for yourself and some other brave ones out there.
Yeah, I was just reading the comments and I put a little race teaser out, and it's because most people don't even know about the racing. They just come for the politics,
I just
right?
watched it. I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
that was the very last lap I ever raced my motorcycle in September 2019. So hopefully, and then they're
Wow.
like, hope to see you back at racing. I'm like, well, hopefully the tyranny ends and we can go back across the border and get out of Canada, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly it. Do you still race in Canada or just the U.S. now?
I have no interest in racing in Canada as of right now because in Western Canada there's no racetracks, and I'm certainly not driving to the east to go to Mosport, which I didn't even like last time because the pavement was so terrible when I was there,
Yeah.
3 years
Tell
ago.
me about it. I know.
And
It's only gotten worse. I know.
yeah, exactly. That whole track needs repaved. And Area 27, there's no racing, and I don't have a budget to go spend $1,000+ to ride circles around a track for fun. I'd rather go dirt biking for $15.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's funny. After I quit out at Shannonville and everything, that's all I've been doing is race dirt biking.
Yeah,
Just
it's
doing the enduros and stuff. It's fantastic. It's like going back to the roots of being a motorcycle rider. Like forget all the politics, forget all the who knows who's and the big money tires and everything. It's just
it's street bike racing. It's just a lot of work for me because at the level that I achieved before my semi-retirement, I mean, we're talking 10, 25-hour drives to the racetrack. We're talking a week to a month of preparation where you're working your 16-hour, 10, 12-hour days of prep, the bike and the equipment and the trailer and yourself and the gym and everything else.
Yeah.
To get there and
imagine your tire budget.
and to be and then you arrive and you're just running around trying to set up the pit, never enough volunteers, never enough help, and then you're stressed all weekend, and there's so much money, and if I don't break even, I'm in the poorhouse. And so for me it's stressful. It's not like back in the day when I was just going on my Cowie and then I'd go around the pits and film everybody and interview everybody. Now I'm too stressed out. Now I'm working on the bike, doing suspension and everything and the computer, that there's no time to even leave my pit.
Yeah, and it's so advanced too now, all the electronics in the bikes and stuff too. It's like,
Yeah, and of course I'm at a huge disadvantage on all that stuff too with my old 2016 and no computer data guy. And so the fun of superbikes has been lost with like the hard work involved to do it, to be competitive at the level, to win the money when I'm racing against these teams.
Yeah.
So I would love to just get back to it and have like a Ninja 400 and start racing the Ninja 400. I'd like to have an R6 and start racing the 600 Super Sport class
Yeah.
again.
You know, I love the super stock of like classes. I wish Canada approached it that way, like where you don't have. So Ben Young, for example, I went out to their track because I was still teaching the Racer 5 here and there up until like maybe 2 years ago. So I'd still meet with a lot of the guys racing here at CSBK, and because some of our events overlapped. And I was talking to Ben, and he's like, I was telling him, I go, you know, you think I can get back to it now almost 10 years later, just as an old fart, and just play around on a very stock class? He's like, dude, he's like, my B bike is like 90 grand. He's like, don't even, it's like, unless you
90 grand? Yeah, well, so he's,
bike.
yeah, that's what I mean. He's got a lot of backing for that, and he's that top Canadian with him and Zoke, and that's where, you know, he was paying whatever Steve from BMW to come in, and you know, that's $1,000 a day just to have that data guy there, right?
Yeah.
And
remember Dave Buckland? Even he was like, he's like, yeah, his R6 is like 60 grand by the time you got all the electronics into it and stuff like that. He's like, unless you got close to a 6-figure budget, he's like, don't waste your time anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you can go overseas or to the States and race like a stock class.
Now there is a racetrack that's built above Calgary now, another private track, members track like Area 27, and I was just talking to the guy from out there who sells the two-stroke performance, you know, the Australian brand for two-strokes TPI mapping and stuff, and they do the heads. It's called TPS, two-stroke performance, out of Australia, and he sells them. And he was saying the CMRA is talking about doing racing there, and so that would be my first chance to get back to racing on a new racetrack with the Calgary Motorcycle Road Race Association, which hasn't been around since Race City was taken down, right? So, because Area 27, I'm like, a racetrack for rich people to ride around in, burn up their brakes, and then go sit and drink beers in the lounge. And then here I am, a pro superbike racer, an hour and a half down the road, and it's not available to me, right? It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, that's like the Tremblant situation. It's like just all private and rich.
Yeah, like I guess I could have bought a membership when they were first under construction, but that would have been all my budget of all my Superbike year budget, and that was way too much to risk on a track, you know.
That's insane.
You know, so now they're like 40, 50 grand. Back then they were like, you know, 20 grand to buy in, but you know, you could lose all your money too, right, if it didn't get built.
That's just so insane.
And I'm like, if I want to teach rider training, the deficit of 40 grand is a lot of training that I'd rather just go and just travel and do my regular thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the States has got so many beautiful tracks. Like,
yeah, exactly.
And
the people.
You know, everyone I know.
And nobody could, and I didn't research, you know, the theories before Bullshit 19, so there was no way I was going to know I'll be trapped in Canada. In hindsight, then that would have been a good idea to be a member, right? Because now that's my only.
Never be trapped in the States.
Who would have thought we'd be trapped in freaking Canada? You know, luckily I'm in BC. You know, and I know you're in Ontario. Just joking, but my friend from Niagara moved out here. You know, a lot of people were moving west because you guys had even worse tyranny down there with Ford, and now Ford is just, man, he is so in bed, like Trudeau with his associates, that it's just, man, it's so crazy.
I just got off I just finished watching the most recent briefing, and I was like shaking. I'm like, this is just like, so much wrong.
A War Measures Act, you know?
Happen. Yeah.
Dude.
And it's for literally just because someone thinks otherwise than the big shot at the top. It's pretty crazy. Like, I guess in our entire lives living in this country, we would have never thought. Like, you know, you think people start doing criminal things or like actually damaging or who knows what. Yeah, then, but like you can't even have a voice. I don't know. It's just nice to hear, you know, good people like yourself trying as much as you can. And there's been others, like. It's so weird the past 2 years too, like just to describe it, like, I mean, like my window guy that I worked with, like just doing renovations, like him and I are tighter than you know, family members, because it's like he can actually see what's happening and we can have a healthy conversation about it without being afraid of the outcome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And you know, my wife and I, we've been like just sitting here terrified, like for 2 years that like, can't even open our mouths about anything.
The fear mongering is so strong.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then occasionally you'll meet like one person, like, you know, every couple of months you come across a person, kind of like you said with the, I love your video on the mask. My wife kind of kicks me in the butt because half the time in the thing I'm just slowly pulling it down. She's like, put it back, you're gonna get in trouble.
You mean the Costco one, the one where I did the bit on wearing the dirt
yeah.
bike helmet?
Yeah. So, oh man, it's just nice to see because it's so rare these days, and then like we've got families torn, like our family is torn about, like, people won't talk to each other. They're
Don't you know your lights on?
Oh yeah, I'm just ready to be extra careful, right? I don't want to accidentally crash, you know, my 0.001% chance I'll crash my motorcycle in here.
Alright, well, you be careful then.
Anyways, my name is Marcel Irnie, and it is January 22nd, worldwide rally for freedom.
They're active, like, you know, we always joke with my brother. I have a few brothers and stuff, and we always joke, like, whenever we're talking, I'm like, you know, as long as you guys are okay to come to our den of disease, like, you know, like, you know, because obviously we don't have syringes in our ears like everyone else. So
yeah, I mean, like for Thanksgiving, even like the first Thanksgiving, you know, like, oh, you know, you're only allowed to have a gathering of 4 or 5, and it's only an immediate family, and then, you know, people like, we're like, screw that, and then, you know, all of a sudden you had to put blinds up and cover the door windows and park down the street. Make sure you park down the street. Like, the fear was so strong, and, you know, we all kind of fell into it a little bit. I was, you know, obviously a little concerned, but, you know, people were way more concerned than me, were like, you know, we have to be so careful, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, it's so powerful. The media is so powerful. People are brainwashed. What is it called? Peter called it mass formation psychosis, and he's completely true. And it doesn't take too much to actually make that happen.
And it's over nothing. That's the point. Like, we don't have like a racial disparity. We don't have a particular, like, we don't have like a deep-rooted division in our country, like, I don't know, something comparable to like Israel-Palestine. Like, there's nothing there.
There's no war across Canada. There's no civil war. You mean there's no civil war? Well, obviously some sort of civil war, or whatever you want to call it, is happening now, and it's going to be really scary because today is the big day of news, right? With crazy truck Trudeau. So I guess I'm gonna have to stay on top of that news and see what happens down the pipeline. I got a video of a guy who interviewed himself explaining what he thinks and how this is going, and, you know, gets a little deep into this is, you know, it's essentially, this is war on the people, and most people don't realize that yet. And then a video from Romeo from Romania. You know, people in countries that have been under communist dictatorship in the past, and he's, you know, essentially, I'm trying to remember a quote. It's like, you know, right now we're all partying in the streets, having a good time with our friendly protests, but a lot of people don't realize that nothing really changes until blood is shed.
That's, I mean, hopefully Canada is above that, and we don't, but I mean, my family all came from that too. Like, they're from Hungary, so they've had the Russian occupation and everything. They know exactly what fashion is all about. Fashion, and you can't essentially speak. I mean, unless, you know, like we have had to behave for the past 2 years. Like, okay, when the doors are closed and the blinds up, it's like, okay, maybe I can talk a little bit freely. But
and now we're all trying to get off the main medias. Signal, you know, we're trying to talk on encrypted things. And the objectives.
Meetings at work, and it's like my heart sinks because, like, you know, I've held my job for 20 years. It's the only thing that scraped my family out of like deep poverty when we were kids. Like, I started working at 15 years old. I've paid my taxes for the past 25 years, never missed a beat. No weekends out. Like, whatever. Long story. Like, you know, other than my weekends, you know, no time away from work. I don't think I've ever been away from work more than 7 days for surgery, and that was so. It's like, you know, I've tried throughout my entire life to be the best possible citizen in whatever way that I can, or I was taught, which was my parents brought us up that you do what's right, and that's that. There's, you know, hard work. That's what gets you somewhere. And anyway, long story with all of that. Like, you know, I've lived my life that way, and then now it's like it's taken away because, like, I sit on meetings at work, and it's like I hear them talk about, we got to get these people, these unvaxxed.
The fear.
Like, my heart's sinking. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, I've worked here for almost 25 years. You know, all those awards I get every 6 months or whatever it is. I mean, that
Loyalty.
These people out, you know.
Yeah, the perceptions, like you could work and be loyal to something or the corporation, and then the smallest little thing will end the loyalty on the other side. It's like sponsors, you know, they always ask me, it's like, you know, I got to be completely loyal to the sponsors, but in the end, the loyalty is always a one-way streak. And the way I say that is like, you know, I work for Schuberth as I was sponsored by Schuberth Germany.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, in the North America loved me, right? And the woman who brought me in, and there initially Sarah, and then she left to go work for BMW, and then a new president or a new marketing person comes in, and then my deal just goes south and gets way worse, and I'm just at scraps. And then all of a sudden, that person leaves, and then they bring in a person from Japan to take over, and he doesn't give a crap about any loyalties or what people have done, and he brings in his own team, and you're essentially fired. So there's no loyal. People always change positions, and then that's how sponsorships always end for me, right? They just they don't even bother to tell you. They just leave the position, and then all of a sudden you're like, where's that contact, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't do sponsors anymore. It's just a waste of time because they're always short-ended, you know, except for like EBC and things like that, which have been awesome. But often I people always ask me like, how Marcel, like, how do I get sponsors? And I'm like, get a job that pays well. You be your own sponsor because you will have that sponsorship forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense.
You know, so anyways, I will let you go. Is it okay if I put this conversation up online? Because this is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, it's fantastic. It's just, you know, again, thank you, because like a lot of people are having such a hard time with this, and it was just, and like somebody I knew, even if we weren't like so tight, but you know, we knew each other in the pits and everything, and always had fond memories, and really rooted for your racing. So it's cool, man.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just that I found that quote I was talking about earlier. This is the guy. So these protests, these will be remembered as the fun, albeit naive days of the revolution. Right, reminded me of the earlier days at Tiananmen Square. But as you know, my friend, freedom is always paid for with blood. I have to look up Tiananmen Square. I'm gonna have to look that up. But you know, it kind of reminds me of the TV series The Tyrant. I don't know if you've seen that. It was like an AMC series, and it's really good, and it reflects on what's going on right now.
I haven't. No.
Check it out. Anyways, dude, I'll let you go. Thanks for the call.
Oh, you too. Thanks, Marcel. And keep up the great work, man.
Cheers. Bye.
Take care.